tonight we have the rare opportunity to speak with Jody Williams. So thank you for agreeing to chat with us.
Well, thank you for wanting to chat with me.
Absolutely. And so we're just going to dive on in.
Sure.
And I'm wondering if you could share with us what is the core of people power?
I think really it's people understanding that anybody can help change the world, right? We each have power. We each have the power of choice. And we can choose to get up off our butts and work together to change the world. And that's what power is. It's empowering yourself by working with others to accomplish change. It's very easy. And it's really fun, actually.
I like the sound of that.
Good.
And initially you used faxes in your work with ICBL to physically engage people in dialogue and movement building. Okay, so this also created a written record of conversations to keep them honest.
It did.
Yeah. How can we achieve that with today's technology?
Well, ICBL, of course, is the International Campaign to Ban Landmines, and when we started, it was 2 NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and a staff of 1, myself. And as I kept getting helping other organizations decide to join, and it kept getting bigger, in different countries, you had to find a quick way to communicate with them, right? If you stamp letters and tried to send them to Cambodia, they may or may not ever get there. So if you sent a fax, it was the hot, sexy technology of the time. And you were asking people things and you were communicating with them about the plans. And then, since I wouldn't answer the phone, they would have to write back to me and express what their commitments were. So it helped them. And then it was actually the Cambodia campaign that pushed us to start using email.
Oh, really?
I was willing to keep on writing, and they were like, hello, it costs us a ton of money to use the fax from Cambodia. Email is like cheap. And so...
And you still have that written record.
Absolutely.
Which is nice.
And in today's social media, you can archive everything. It's not like you'll lose it.
It's there forever.
It's there. All of this stuff is a tool.
Yeah.
It's only a tool. It's people working together to change, and now we have social media, we can still write letters, we can do whatever we want, but I think we need to be very careful about understanding that social media is a tool. In and of itself, it does nothing. Okay?
It's the people behind it.
Yeah.
So let me try and change the topic a little bit. Did the genocide of the American Indians provide frameworks for the genocides that followed in the 20th century?
I think, unfortunately, because human beings pay very little attention to history. They can barely remember last week. I don't think that, what happened with the Native Americans in this entire, hemisphere had a lot of impact on what's happening in Sudan, for example, or other places. I think human beings can just be shitty. And when you get a crazed individual with a lot of power and people, instead of accepting their own power to counter evil, become silent accomplices to it, that's when evil happens on a huge scale. When I criticize U.S. policy, for example, people think it's unpatriotic. And I think, whoa, wait a minute. I do not subscribe to the thinking of my country right or wrong. That's what the good German did that resulted in 6 million killed Jews and other people. No. I'm a citizen. They work for me. I am going to hold them accountable.
I like it.
Me too.
And that leads directly to our next question, actually. Does the United States still use or support genocide and crimes against humanity?
No, I don't think currently the U.S. uses genocide, no. But many would contend that many political figures in our history are worthy of being hauled before the International Criminal Court. I personally think that Henry Kissinger, for example, who inappropriately was given the Nobel Peace Prize, is a war criminal. Many contend that many of the Bush administration, for their illegal war in Iraq, should be tried.
And violations of international law in the same token.
Mr. Bush, of course, being that Mr. Obama is continuing to always just want to throw up over that when I do.
I would join you in that. So why should Americans, because kind of change the topic again, be concerned with closing the School of America?
Because we really need to think about where our money is going as we're living in this budget crisis when, you know, the underpinnings of the middle class of the United States of America are being ripped out from under them. The poor are sinking into more and more poverty. And as we're making these amazing budget cuts, what gets cut? 50% of our budget goes to the military, okay, in various ways. And that doesn't include Homeland Security budget, which is top secret, all of the intelligence agencies that are top secret. So we have no idea how much really is going there. At the cost of education, health care, elderly care, food for the poor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when we are funding a School of the Americas, which is training military from around the world how to be better at plying their trade, that's our tax dollars going to training military in some of the worst countries in the world, because we train them from everywhere, unfortunately, instead of using that tax dollar to go to the betterment of the people of the United States of America.
We perpetuate violence
Yes,
around
we
the
do.
world. So what do our efforts to close this school say to Central and South Americans and to the world?
I think it depends on who you're looking at. If you're looking at the people who are being tortured by the military that we train, they're all for it. If you're looking at the military who's trained
People
there, they're
in
not
power.
very happy.
Yeah. No.
I am a firm supporter of closing the school.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're currently at the University of Houston's Graduate School of Social Work. How do you see that work furthering real change for peace in a better world?
Well, you know something, like many people, I didn't really understand what social work was. And before I started teaching there, I went to speak at a social work conference in Boston, and I thought, why are they inviting me here? I don't know what this is. But then when I started listening to the other people who were speaking about the history of social work and what it does, I realized I'm an international social worker.
Yes.
That's what I am.
Yes.
And the dean at the school where I go and teach, I don't live in Texas, I live in Vermont and Virginia.
Oh, wow.
I fly in, teach, leave, because most of my work is grassroots organizing. It's not that.
Right.
But the dean was visionary, and he wanted the College of Social Work to understand, in this teeny world getting teenier, that we're all interconnected, and many of the refugees and the communities that the social workers treat in Houston, if they don't understand their cultural roots, they cannot service them properly.
Right.
So it's great. It's fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. So, last question.
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you ready for it?
I am.
All right. If appointed Empress of the universe. Yes.
Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be fun.
I would wear emerald green.
There you go. Green's
I
your
think.
color. I
It's
think.
wonderful.
So what would be the first thing you would change? You're Empress.
I'm Empress. I would disband every army in the world.
Okay.
I would take all of that money and decide with people of communities around the world how they want it to be used for their communities. I can't tell them what they need. They need to tell me as the Empress what they want to do with that money. Everybody has to be accountable. I'm not going to do like the billions of dollars in duffel cases that we have squandered in Iraq and other countries. But it's like, I'll listen to them. Why would I go tell anybody how to do what they need to do? They'll tell, me, and I'll help, I would get some like clever people who would help.
Yeah, I'll live in that world.
Okay, awesome.
Well, thanks so much for joining us and chatting with us.
You can just call me the Empress.
I will. I shall.
It's been a
Thank you,
blast.
Empress.